All right, with me here right now is Ryan Spain. You are the creative director for Magic the Gathering Online. Say hello to
Hello,
LOTROstream chat here.
everyone.
Yeah.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me, Jerry.
Yeah, nice to be here. So, why is Magic the Gathering Online on our LOTROstream channel? Well, it's because we're doing a bit of a cross promotion. We're both doing Middle Earth related things, as it were, and so we thought we'd have Ryan on today to talk a little bit about what's going on in Magic the Gathering Online, show off the coupon code that you can also use in LOTRO. After we're done here, I'm going to be heading into the Lord of the Rings Online and redeeming the code and showing that off over at one of my housing areas and things like that. So, but we wanted to start with a little bit of Magic the Gathering Online. So, let's just ask the question. Tell me a little bit about Magic the Gathering Online. What is it? How long have you been with it? And sort of what's it about?
Sure. Magic Online was really the second digital expression of Magic the Gathering, the first being what is colloquially called Chandelar, which is actually more of an RPG style. But basically, in early 2000s, Wizards of the Coast decided that they needed a digital version of Magic the Gathering, and they had, in fact, knew that was coming and did a big rules overhaul to make the rules more codable, make it something that can be digital. And it launched in June of 2002 and has been going strong ever since. I was in the original beta and was an original player of the game. Played it daily for a decade, and then went and started working on it. I went to Wizards of the Coast in 2012 and spent about 5 years working on this game and making improvements and keeping it going. I mean, the Magic content pipeline is a fire hose, and Magic Online has been adding sets for 20 plus years, and we have the greatest depth of digital Magic cards in existence. And it's become the home to play a lot of formats and ways to play Magic that really no other digital offering in the space provides, just because of our long time card catalog and nearly, I don't know the exact number right now, but it's in the neighborhood of 30,000 unique
That's a lot.
interlocking
That's a lot of
cards.
files in a
It's around
spreadsheet
that,
somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, what do we have going on? There's a cross promo. The code is, let's get that out there right away. The code is LOTRO. We call it, I guess, MITGO or MTGO. So, LOTROMTGO2023. And that coupon code works in Magic the Gathering Online and in the Lord of the Rings Online. And it's going to get you different stuff. We're going to kind of show how that all works and play a quick game of Magic here. As we get set up. This is a brand new account, so this will be similar to the experience that you might have if you are a brand new player checking out Magic the Gathering Online here. But I thought, actually, I have to grind this show to a halt just briefly to ask the big question in the room, which is I gotta call out your incredible lunchbox collection back there. What's the deal with that?
Yeah, well, my wife actually, it looks like mine because it's behind me, but she brought this collection to the marriage. She is a longtime thrift store maven. She's a genius at finding the $100 item for $1 at the thrift store, And over the years, she just, because she liked them, bought all the lunch boxes she found at thrift stores. So this is not some eBay built collection. This is 50 cent, dollar, 150 at a time thrift store purchases over the course of decades.
It's incredible. I bet there are people out there who are like, wait a second, what are lunch boxes?
Yeah,
but,
and the metal.
But it used to be a thing.
Ones anymore.
We all had them. We used to.
Man.
They were great. Yeah, they were great. You could chuck them at your friends. It was awesome. So,
and these are classic because it's like here's Tony's. This was Tony's lunchbox. I don't know who Tony is, but we have his lunchbox now.
Nice. All right, so getting back to Magic the Gathering Online, the Lord of the Rings Online is a big deal in Magic the Gathering right now, up to and including Magic the Gathering Online. So on June 20th, as I understand, so just recently, the Lord of the Rings was brought into the digital home of Magic Online here. Can you tell me a little bit about basically what's up?
Yeah, this has been somewhat of a new direction for Wizards that a lot of us, both playing the game and making the game, have fantasized about forever, which is I mean, Magic mechanics are Lego blocks of game mechanics. You can really take the parts of Magic and create a flavorful card on with just about anything. You can give me any IP. I'll make a die-hard Magic card. You know, there's no limit to what you could technically put the mechanics to. And but it's ultimately a high fantasy flavored game, and it's always been its own IP, you know, its own world building, and telling amazing stories for 30 years now. But there's other amazing stories to tell that we can tell through Magic cards, and this is a new thing that in the last 5+ years that Wizards has really embraced, which is what they call universes beyond, effectively alternate reality Magic. It's not canon. It's not part of the Wizards of the Coast world building specifically and part of the planes of the multiverse, right? But we say, hey, we can make a Magic experience with these other IPs. And what's number one, like literally number one on the list that Magic would want to do this with? It's Lord of the Rings. I mean, anybody who's making a high fantasy property, a high fantasy experience, owes everything they're doing to the Lord of the Rings. It's really an honor for everybody at Wizards of the Coast to have been able to work on this. That everybody there loves this property, loves this story, and knows how important it has been to the growth and the creation of Magic and Dungeons and Dragons and a lot of the things that Wizards of the Coast does. So everybody's been looking forward to this. We are just so pumped to. I can't tell you how delighted I am to see Frodo and Gandalf on Magic cards. It's a perfect match in my opinion. And a lot of times people are like, oh, it's too. No, we got to keep them separate. But I'm glad they finally got over that and said, no, we can do this respectfully. We can show that we are fans of this property, and I know that the Tolkien folks are super happy with the results as well.
Yeah. So I started playing Magic the Gathering. I should say I'm a total noob in general. But I did actually play Magic the Gathering all the way back, and I guess it was about 1992, 3, something like that. Real early on, and I picked up some of the early booster cards. I used to play with my high school buddies. After school, we'd get together in someone's apartment who was just old enough to be outside of high school, and we would hang out and play a ton of Magic the Gathering. And I played it a little bit through kind of the mid-90s, but other passions just sort of kept me away largely since, although I've played a little bit. So what you're about to see here, to some extent, is someone who's not a complete noob try this game out, but I'm also not particularly well skilled on, how things work here in 2023. And so that's part of what you're here for, too, is to work me through some of this stuff and coach me a little bit on this.
And it's great. Your story is not unique. There's many people who enjoyed Magic in their earlier days, and we would love for people like you to give it a new try, especially with a nice reason like this. Like, hey, one of my passions is on Magic cards now, and I want to check that.
Yeah. So I've got the Magic the Gathering online client up and running, and you can download this client for free from mtgo.com. You'll have to create an account similar to what you would do for a Lord of the Rings online account, and then get into the game. And we're going to start here on the home screen, I guess, just to show off the cool artwork and what have you. But where you're going to want to go is to the Store tab. And at the bottom of the page, kind of on the screen here, lower rightish, you'll see Enter Promo Code. Just type in LOTROMTGO2023. Is it okay if I call it MTGO, or is that inappropriate?
Yeah, that's actually how...
That's okay?
That's the official kind of abbreviation speak for it internally. It's actually not one that a lot of the players use, though. It's funny, because the original game, the exe file was called modo.exe, all caps, because it stood for Magic Online with Digital Objects. And so for a long time, it was referred to by fans as Modo, as when I play Modo, and that's more common as the slang. But yes, MTGO or MTGO is how we refer to it internally, at least.
All right. So I have another screen that popped up that isn't currently being displayed. Let me see if I can display that just real quick here. But let's see.
Oh yeah, the
It's the
streaming.
preview window here is what's up.
Yes,
So
streaming Magic Online can be challenging because it's a app that has multiple windows, which can be useful for doing multiple things at the same time in the game, but it can be challenging if you don't have your streaming settings right. Looks like
yeah,
you got it though. You're doing screen capture is the way to go as opposed to like window
yeah.
capture. Basically.
All right. So by redeeming the coupon code, you're going to get 10 new player points in addition to a Samwise Gamgee avatar. And this gets you enough to get started with what's called the Jumpstart League. And we'll get into that in just a second. But before I get to that, one of the most frequent things that new players of Magic the Gathering Online might want to check out is this account upgrade kit. Can we talk a little bit about what does it get you? Why would you want to do it?
Yeah, that's a classic welcome bundle value proposition. The main thing it does in terms of unlocking your experience functionally is opening up trade. And trade, there's peer-to-peer trading in Magic Online, and it's the primary way to acquire specific cards that you want. But it's also a vector for fraud, and so it's kind of this thing that we put behind the it's a fully featured game, you can do everything, but if you want to get into the place that can lead to fraudsters, we've put that behind
Because of trading of cards and things like that,
right,
that's inherent in Magic the Gathering.
Real trading objects with real world value that can be traded off into different accounts. So but basically you don't have to jump right to this, but if you decide, hey, I am liking this, I want to move forward with my Magic Online life, you're going to want to get the upgrade kit. And it's really like, once you've decided to spend on Magic Online, it's the correct first spend because it gives you more value in that bundle than you're going to get after the fact buying those things individually from the store. So it's just one of those value, like, okay, I'm in, and this is the obvious thing to do. It unlocks my ability to trade and chat, and gives me good value in the system for my dollars. So,
for the purposes of the stream here today, I deliberately did not purchase it because I want to show the free new player experience. Someone from LOTRO who might be like, "Yeah, that sounds cool. I used to play Magic, or I do play Magic, and
I would love to
let's
show people
do that."
what they get for free here.
Yeah.
And not what you have to pay for.
So let's move on to this Jumpstart League. Jumpstart League, or the Jumpstart Phantom League, as I understand, is a way to practice and learn the game really before you commit too much or put stakes on the line. Is that correct?
Yeah. Well, you can actually win prizes. It's kind of, the prizes are points towards more play that are bound to your account. So it's not like you can just make a bunch of accounts and grind something and sell it. It's nothing that you can sell, but so even this free experience can produce extra benefit for you in your future path if you do well. But mainly, the thing with Jumpstart and the thing with Magic, your audience is going to have a different familiarity with the game, but just as a quick, broad overview, like I said, I mentioned 30,000 different parts. Well, you take all those cards that exist and you build a deck of at least, in this case, 40, but like basically you build a minimum size deck from all of these different parts, and it's a pretty intimidating process for a new player to try to assess what is good, what is powerful, what is the what is the ratio of components in your deck, and so Jumpstart solves that. What I love about it is it's fun for new players, it's fun for longtime players, and it's kind of this. It's like I love drafting in Magic, which is where you don't bring a deck to the table, you open boosters and work with what you get, and you pick with other players at the table, and this is kind of like that in the sense that you're going to pick 2 half decks. So a 20 card.
So I should click Join Draft League here, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead and join queue. And this is going to offer you 3 choices here. And if you go to the upper right there, you can slider the filter will let you slide the size up there.
There we go.
A little bigger. And so there's probably 2. They both say journey, but they have 1 and 2, so there's going to be different contents there. If you're really super serious about it, you can go look up what's in each one. But for our purposes, it's just a way to get right to playing without having to do the intimidating part of deck building. And so you've chosen a green first half. It looks like it's
I
got
used to be a
pretty
green
full
player back in the day. That's the one I think
intense.
I used to do basically green and white was my dual mana deck, as it were. So
Yeah, so you're
yeah,
going double green. That's
yep,
cool. You're going to get basically a mono green deck. And in this, so one of the flexible things about Magic Online is that you can drag the panes around and drag sliders around to adjust for your monitor size, your current. So like, since you want to see what's in the deck more, I would say grab the pane above the deck and pull it up, and then drag the slider. Um, yeah, right there.
yep, and just sort of drag it over.
Yeah, and
There we go.
that will will help you see your cards better. And of course, like you might expect, right click is your friend. The number one tip I have for you in Magic Online is if you're not sure what's up with the thing, right click on it. The context menus are very detailed, and it'll give you text on the card that you can read. You can also double click, or there's some zoom techniques for zooming.
Yeah, Q is the one that I was generally
Yeah,
using just right now. It's a pretty good
sure.
way to just kind of quick pop up a Q on my screen. I'm not actually
Yeah,
seeing it on the stream
this
here,
is
but
again
yeah.
the tech that's not as streaming friendly as we'd hope. But if you're playing at home, yeah, using the Q, you can take any of these cards and zoom it up to big readable size. And the thing with deck build, like you've made your deck illegal, right? Because you moved a
Yeah.
card out of it. In
Yeah.
this case, there's no deck building to do, which is kind of the point. What you can do though is look at what you're doing. If you want to see what rares you have, you could. There's even you can look at the sort. There's a drop down sort right in the dead center of that bar that you could sort by rarity. If you just wanted to see what sweet what rares you have, and then look over on the left,
Mm-hmm.
and that kind of tells you, because rarity does reflect power in general. And I mean, they're very powerful commons and everything, but especially in these formats with where you're not choosing, you tend to lean on those rares.
So do I want to
But
say? I just want to save my deck. Is that right? At this
yeah, this
point?
is just to look at it. You can't
Okay.
this is just so that you know what's in your two deck halves. But all you're doing with this is taking two deck halves, smushing them together, and saying, now I've got a whole deck.
Yeah.
And then you can take it into the queue and play. And what's nice about that is that it's these are deck halves built by professional Magic designers who are going to make sure that you've got a nice playable system, playable deck.
I should
Um,
apologize to the other player on this match here. I'm kind of a noob. I hope I don't noob it up too much.
that's all right.
All right, so I won the die roll. That means I can play first if I want to. I probably should, I would
Yes.
assume. So I'll
Play
play
first is generally what you want to do, with rare exceptions. And so that dialogue in the left center there is the main information about what's going on in the given moment, what you need to be doing. And the first choice you're given in Magic is Mulligan. And what you want is a mix of land and spells. The lands are the ones with the big symbols on the bottom. So there's 4 forests there are the lands. Those are the spell casting power. You get to play one of those per turn, and it slowly builds up your ability to cast bigger and bigger spells. So you can, for the viewers, you might want to grab that bar there and drag it up, and then that'll make your hand bigger.
Oh yeah, there we
Auto
go.
size up.
Okay.
And then so it's looking like you've got
Pretty
you've got
decent
some,
setup for a start here. I've
yeah,
got some
you've
land.
got
I've got an enemy, or rather,
creature.
a creature on my end, the delighted halfling, and I'm not too far away from getting Stu the Conies out as well, or
Right.
even bringing
Not
out
only
the
do you have a
Dunedain
creature, but
Rangers.
you have
Yeah.
low cost creatures, so you can do things right away. That's what you want to make sure in Magic. So if you look at the upper right corner of a Magic spell, that's its cost in mana. It'll show you the amount of specific colored mana you need, plus the amount of any colored mana you need. So that third card in requires 1 single green mana to cast, and that first card on the left requires 1 green mana and then 1 mana of any type, so 2 total. It looks good. Keep it.
Yep.
And the fairly straightforward thing about early Magic turns is, like, you just don't have that much to do. Your choices are kind of made for you. You
Yeah.
can play 1 land a turn. You can either click it or drag it out. And then it's like, well, what do I have that costs 1? Well, I've got this. And then you look at it and say, do I want to do it? And there are rare occasions where you're like, oh, this is a card I'm supposed to play after I do a bunch of other stuff because it affects things already out there. So then there's times where you might want to hold back, but not now. You're just going to dump out your creatures.
Yep.
And creatures have summoning sickness, which means they can't attack or use their abilities the turn they enter the battlefield. It gives your opponent a turn to react, basically, before they have to deal with it.
Now, how do I actually... I have to pay this mana card,
yes.
so I tap it, essentially, tap the mana, take the creature and put it out on the deck.
Yeah, you can actually do it either direction. You can click the spell and then add the mana to pay for it, or you can add mana to pay for a spell and then click the spell and it'll do it that way. I like clicking the spell and then adding mana because it knows that the mana that you're adding is for that spell.
Yeah.
So that's a good sequence there. So you have nothing else to do. I'm going to give you one of my favorite tips. Hit the number 8 on your keyboard. This toggles a thing called... basically auto pass if you've got nothing to do. Now Magic has some free spells, some things you can do at instant speed to interact with your opponent on their turn, but everybody knows this format really doesn't have that. So you're not really bluffing or trying to disguise anything. And you have a clock to manage. Clock is the biggest enemy of the new player. And so you need to play relatively promptly. If we run out of clock here, it's no big deal. We're talking and stuff. So it's going to hurt our clock. But in general, you want to keep a good pace, especially early when there's nothing much to do anyway. Like right now, all you got is a land to play and one other, and then 2 spells to consider. And so clicking the OK button is also a little bit oppressive to always be going over to the left side to click that OK. The 1 key, the number 1, is shortcutting for OK. So I basically play most games with my index finger on the 1 key. And
now, if I'm not mistaken, just based on my knowledge here, because I spawned it last round, I can now attack with this delighted halfling creature, and I probably should.
And that's why this red stripe has opened up in the middle of the battlefield, because we call attacking, sending creatures into the red zone is Magic slang. So we made the red zone there to remind you, okay, you're now choosing combat. When you attack in Magic, you choose all of the creatures you want to attack with all at once, and then send them all at once at the player, or in some cases at a different type. You can send your creatures at things. But a common misconception from new players with Magic is that, oh, you have a creature on your side, I have a creature on my side, I'm going to send my creature to attack your creature. It doesn't work that way. You attack players, and your opponents can use their creatures to get in the way, basically.
Yeah, some of the intricacies of how to play Magic the Gathering may not be covered in this particular live stream just due to time and such, but it is essentially a matter of building up a pool of land from which you're using as resources to do the various things you want to do. Summoning creatures, buffing them up with defenses, casting spells, and then you are essentially just saying, I'm attacking the other player. Then the other player, or in the case me, once my opponent has a creature out on the board, I get to decide essentially what I do with that attack. Whether it's defend against it, perhaps maybe I don't have a choice, or for other reasons I might want to actually take some damage. And we just sort of trade back and forth like that until one of us loses these 20 points here on the left. I call them hit points because I'm an old D&D nerd.
Hey, there's a reason the Magic life total starts at 20. It's because the game was designed conceptually as a thing that D&D players could do while waiting for the rest of their crew to show up for D&D night or whatever. Between D&D rounds, what are we doing? Oh, we can play some Magic. And what do we have around? Oh, we have D20s. So they made the life total 20 so that you could use your D20s to track life in your Magic game.
Of course, we all had special Magic D20s that didn't get used for other games. That was my Magic D20. It was probably big and glow in the dark and was awesome. So
the D20s we make for Magic products actually have we call them spin downs because they're not they're designed to track life as opposed to be random. You wouldn't have all the high numbers on one side of the randomized dice, but on a spin down, you try to make it easy to use it as a life tracker.
Now, so you can go on the other player's card, hit Q to basically bloom it up so that you can take a look at it.
It's interesting. So you can see it here, but we didn't see it in
Now, you can see on this with the Erebor Flamesmith, they're summoning a creature to eventually attack me, and it costs 1 of the red mana and then 1 of any other kind of mana. In this case, they're Swamp that they cast the last round.
and that there's two numbers in the lower corner of a creature card in Magic. The first one is its power. That's the amount of damage it deals in combat, and its toughness is the second number. That's the amount of damage it takes to kill it. And creatures heal at the end of the turn. So if you have a creature that had 10 toughness and it took 9 damage at the end of the turn, boom, full health, back to 10. You still need to hit it with 10 to kill it. And the rules on the card are very literal. You know, like the opponent's card says whenever they cast a instant or sorcery, which is 2 types of magics. Every card in a Magic deck is either a land or a spell, but spells have different types. Even creatures are spells, but they're just creature spells. That card the opponent has triggers off of certain types of spells. Like this is an instant. So target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. Create a food token. So that means you could use that to kill your opponent's creature. So why don't you go ahead and do that?
Yeah, I was just going to say that's probably what I want to do here is bring this thing out. And I want to cast this on my creature, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And then choose the target of the other creature.
Basically, any time you see the word target, you're going to have to click something to say what your target is. So in this case, target creature you control, which is that one. Target creature your opponent's control. And then, boom, it's going to call that punching.
Yep. And the other player's considering what to do about it, basically, at this point.
Yes, although they're tapped out in a format that doesn't have free spells, so that really they're just...
They spent their resources to bring that creature out, so...
Yes.
And I just gave it the smackdown. And now I've got a food token, which I can sacrifice by spending 2 mana and then tapping this token, or actually sacrifice it, right? To get 3 life back. So if I was down by some hit points, I'd be able to get back up to 3 higher.
And of course, food is just such an ongoing theme in Lord of the Rings. This was an existing mechanic. The food token mechanic already existed in Magic, but it was a perfect one to bring back for this set.
Now, I was just going to say, before I do this, now, in this case, it would be wise because they have no defenses, essentially, for me to attack. But there may be times where you wouldn't want to attack, and the reason for that is you would need that creature to defend. Because when they send things against you, you've got to have a creature available to defend against it, otherwise you just take the damage.
Right, or they might have a blocker that's bigger than your attacker, in which case they can just put their blocker in front of your attacker, and we call that eating it. They just eat that creature because it did. Usually you try to trade. Okay, well I'll send this in because if you block, we both lose our creatures. That's fair, but you really don't want to send your creatures into clear death.
Yeah.
But Magic has the ability to interact in the middle of combat and change your creature's stats at instant speed. So sometimes when looks like your opponent is making some dumb attack, why are you sending that into my guy? I'm just going to eat your thing, and then they surprise you with a trick, and you lose the combat.
So I have to admit, I'm not familiar with the term token creature. What is a token creature?
Well, it's not a card that can exist anywhere except the battlefield, basically. There's a lot of cards that create tokens, and they act like Magic cards, but when if you had a card that said return target creature to its owner's hand, and you targeted a token, it can't exist in the hand, so it effectively kills it. So tokens are very fragile versions of creatures that can't exist anywhere else besides the battlefield.
And the reason you might want to cast that is damage, if I recall, doesn't sort of go through. So once you've attacked, is that correct, right? Like if I were to attack and try to do 2 points of damage to that 1 point creature, that additional point doesn't go through. The card just gets wiped. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you attack with a 10 power creature and I block with a 1 power creature, I take no damage. There is a mechanic called Trample that does what you think there. If you attack with a 10 power Trampler and I block with a 1/1, I'll take 9. Because the 1 toughness will absorb 1 of it and then 9 trample over.
As a general rule, in my experience, you want to just always be putting mana onto the field if you've got it, because it doesn't really do any good hanging on to your deck here. It's
high level. It's high level Magic to have a reason to not play a land when you're allowed to play one. You should just generally play it out once per turn as you're allowed to, until you're good enough at the game to understand why you would not want to.
Okay, so he cast a pretty strong creature here,
Yeah, what's that gonna
Gothmog, who basically is going to be picking up orcs as like a little army, as I understand it, to sort of deal with
Yes,
me.
there's a mechanic in this set called amass orcs, and basically, so if it says amass 1, you make a 1/1 orc army token. An orc army with a 1/1 counter on it, so it's 1/1. But if it says amass 3, it would be 3/3. So, and if you amass, it just adds to it. So if you had a 3/3 army and you amass 2, you now have a 5/5 army.
All right.
And so it's this army of growing size of orcs.
All right, so they're getting ready to attack me, as I understand it, most likely here, right? And there's really not much I can do about it, other than perhaps get my delighted halfling somewhat less delighted.
Yeah, although let's see, what's the power and toughness of the attacker?
1/1.
Oh, it's 1/1 that has
Okay.
death touch. That's why you're attacking. If you were to block with it, you would lose your creature, and you don't want to do that. Oh, and one thing, your creature does have an ability to actually make mana.
Yeah.
So instead of attacking with it, if you wanted to power something out a turn earlier, you can add a couple different types of mana there. Of course, the one is only allowed for, you can create generic mana for anything, but colored mana only for that specific.
We might actually want to do that here if I... Well, actually, I still don't have enough for that Enraged Horn yet. Although on my turn, I will be able to.
Yeah, you will,
think,
right?
so.
You'll play it. So I think that'll be a good play for your next turn.
So in this case, I should just sort of probably let the damage go
Yeah, just
through.
take it. We like to say your life total is a resource. A common thing newer players are worried about is they don't want to take any damage, and they'll throw a creature in front of thing rather than take damage. But your life is just, if you win on 1 life or 20 life, you've still won the game.
So in this case,
19 life to spare.
So in this case, I probably want to tap this delighted halfling. How do I go about tapping it?
Well, first I would say decide what you're going to cast. So click on the thing you want to cast.
I was thinking I'd bring out the Enraged Horn because it's fairly tough and it's got trample. So.
Yeah. And so now you can click on it and it'll offer up the mana options that it has.
Okay.
In this case, since you're not casting a legendary spell, it didn't even offer the other the colored one. It just said, "Oh, you want mana for this thing you're casting," and it's not legendary, so.
And this is a pretty tough creature because it has 4 damage and trample, meaning that damage does go through.
And it has this a very Lord of the Rings mechanic. The ring tempts you. When you play a card that says the ring tempts you, you create a ring bearer, and the more you are tempted by the ring, the more powerful your ring bearer becomes.
Okay.
So,
I'm just giving it to that delighted halfling. That makes sense.
The first thing it does is, and this is great, right? The first ability on being tempted by the ring is that the creature cannot be blocked by creatures with greater power. So it's kind of good to put it on like a halfling. You put it on a small creature, and it can sneak by the big creatures with its ring bearer ability.
Yeah. All right. So, because this person has Death Touch, I assume that means any damage kills it. Is that correct?
Yeah, and you don't want to give up your big guy for that.
Yeah.
Really, what we want to do is find a way to kill that thing that's giving these things Death Touch, right? Because it's that center card that is providing the Death Touch to the other creatures. So if you could somehow kill that one, this is where Magic is really fun, because sometimes you have instants. So your opponent attacks with their Death Touch creature, and in the middle of combat, you use a spell to kill the thing that's giving it Death Touch. Now it doesn't have it, and you block it and eat it. And those are the types of strategic, fun gameplay moments that Magic just provides again and again that keeps me coming back.
Yeah.
So you got a 6-drop now. I'd go ahead and play a land and just play your.
Oh, actually, I want to. How do I cancel out of that? There we go. Cancel out of that.
Cancel right there. Yeah.
So play the land, and then you're saying bring out the quick beam
Sure.
upstart Ent.
In general, if you're not sure what to do the most expensive thing that you can do, because the more you're paying, the more potent the spell. Needing 1 more from your mana friend. But yeah, that Death Touch is pesky for green, because the thing with green is its big advantage is that I'm bigger than everything, so I will crush you when I attack. But if Death Touch says, I don't need to be big, one little sting and that giant is gonna die.
So whenever, let's see, what is it? Whenever a tree folk enters the battlefield, up to 2 of my target creatures will get +2/+2, and trample, which is pretty hot.
Yeah.
So what do I want to do here?
So first click on your ability. That's the stack. So you're going to click on the thing that's saying, hey, you have a decision to make. So go ahead and click on that. And then you're going to choose the targets based on...
Should just be my 2 targets.
Yeah, just you. You don't want to give it... That's the thing with Magic. You generally don't want to give your opponent's creatures power and toughness, but there are always reasons. What if you have a card that says, kill a huge thing, and you need to make it huge in order to kill it, right? There's just always little stuff like that.
And that's a surprise. That's why you can never plan for everything in Magic, because there's always something. There's always something.
We have to offer all we have, even though 99% of the time you do it X, we have to give you the ability to do it Y, so that when you need to, you can.
So, looking at my trample and everything here, I should really probably attack with both this turn, even if it means I'm going to take some damage the next round?
Well, actually, this is tough. I mean, if you attack with your big center guy there, Oppo is just going to block with a 1/1 Death Toucher and kill it. And you'll get some damage in, but I would rather try and find an answer to that Death Touch meter. And again, you have 17 life, so don't panic.
Yep.
Give yourself some time to find an answer, and understand that your life total is a clock on the time that you have to find that answer. And rather than panic and trade off a 6 mana full card that you just cast for a token that your opponent generated for free, that's not a good trade, right? So you just got to be... Magic is often about patience. When the board's not looking good for you, you frequently just have to hold, try to stay alive, and dig for answers. So that's what I...
So in this case, I should just not attack and just call it done. All right.
But you also have the ring bearer that will be able to start attacking past anything with 2 or more toughness. So that's another thing.
They're bringing out ring race. That can't be good.
Yeah. What does that say?
A target creature, so I'm going to get -3/-3 until the end of this turn. If that creature is legendary, which I don't believe any of mine are, it would lose 3 life. So it's basically a debuff. It's going to be weakening me.
Right. Let's see. It's on them. Okay, that's good. You can always check that box on the left if there's a OK or some sort of button there. It means it's on you. But if there's nothing in that box on the left, it's not on you. Oh, and I should also mention it can be sometimes like, whose turn is it? Whoever's battlefield is bright. The light battlefield is the person whose turn.
Okay, so we start by bringing out another forest card here. I should probably bring out these Dunedain Rangers, I would think.
Maybe. What's the spell on the... What's the next one over?
Revive the Shire. It would return a target permanent card from my graveyard to my hand. So the graveyard being after they've defeated one of my creatures or destroyed one of my cards, taken it out of the game, I can bring it back, right? As long as it's a permanent card?
Right. Permanent means something that sits on the battlefield after you cast it. The instants and sorceries are they are one shots and done. So you couldn't, and unfortunately that's what we want, because you have a spell in your graveyard that could kill that pesky Death Toucher, but this doesn't get that back because it's not a permanent.
Yeah.
Permanent is like land, a creature, an artifact, or an enchantment, basically.
This would help me get my health back if I need to, although I do already have this food token I could use as well to get 3 life back.
I would hold the food token until you need it, because there's also other things to do with food tokens in the set. You might have a card that says sacrifice a food token to draw a card.
How did he win the match?
We may have run out of time.
Yeah,
which is fine. I wanted to take it easy. What I'd like to show you actually is how, especially because you might have players out there. Hey, maybe you've got a LOTRO buddy. Mm-hmm. Your party. Who do you play LOTRO with? You can both go over these. You can get these decks for creating the account. You don't have to pay to get these Lord of the Rings half decks. But let me show you how to save it to your collection in your deck builder, so that you can then challenge a friend, and then you don't have to worry about the clock. You're playing with somebody you know. You can do voice chat. You can take it easy and experience the game at a pace for a learner's pace. I knew we weren't going to be able to win this game playing.
You already know the history of Cordovan, which is that I'm probably gonna, winning is not necessarily my top priority. Having fun is more the case.
Oh yeah,
so.
and in this case, showing you what's up is the main thing.
Yeah.
Not worrying about whether we're going to win this game. But go ahead and exit this scene.
Okay, and that's just by clicking X on this. Is that correct?
Yeah, or there should be a.
Yeah. All right, there we go. And let me bring back up the other screen that I got here.
And that preview window there is a
There
thing that you can also have up, especially if you're a dual monitor user. You can put up your preview window on one mount and then have just huge versions of all the cards. Anyway, let's go to. So there's this. There's that primary deck, and it's like edit or change. Go ahead and just click change, or I think either of those should work, but I think that the one on the right.
Oh, really? Okay.
Or whatever gets you to seeing that view that we
okay.
looked at.
I think we're seeing it now. Let me take a look. Nope, that's not the one. Sorry, this is not a game thing. This is me trying to figure out how to get this working.
Yeah.
That's not the one either, though, is it?
No, that's not the one.
Yeah. There we go.
There we go. Okay. So now you can. In this case, there's only one deck you can have. In typical limited, you can make different builds. So if you wanted different versions of your deck, you could do that. But go back to that view that you just had there, and look at that primary deck. Go ahead and right-click on primary deck on the left pane there next to your deck, the deck list.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're not seeing this on screen, but it says open a new copy, export to collection, rename properties.
Go ahead and export to collection.
Okay. All right, and then save deck.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna deck name it Cordo deck.
And then go back to the home scene where we have buddied ourselves.
Okay. Get that window up. All right, I think you can see it now. There we go.
There's me. I'm in your upper right there. I'm your buddy RGS. And go ahead and right-click that and choose the challenge option. Be a challenge option.
It is, but it's grayed out for me. Perhaps because I haven't.
Oh yeah, maybe it could be that could be behind the account upgrade.
Yeah, probably would
it's a social feature.
Yeah. Yep.
But if you choose to do the upgrade, then what you can do there, once you've done the export to collection, you can challenge your buddy in using those decks, and then it's not for prizes, but it's also not on the clock, and you can take your time and learn the game that way. So, if you're pretty new to Magic, I highly recommend finding somebody else who is also curious about the game and loves Lord of the Rings and wants to use this occasion to give it a try, and then use that little trick to set yourselves up to play as much as you want without the oppressive clock telling you that you're going to lose if you don't figure your stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I still take time.
And to be fair, though, it was it gives you a couple minutes per move here, and that the reason you would do something like that is just because you don't want people just abandoning and going off to do the dishes and then leave you hanging, right? So.
Right.
Yeah.
We mess with the clock lengths depending on the event, and we want to give people more time here, but you also don't. If you give too much clock, you create an axis for griefing.
Yeah.
As players abuse that, and so it's a tricky balance, but I do like that there is the way to play without a clock, and it also gives you the chance to practice the shortcuts that help you manage the clock. We talked about, we looked at a couple there on screen, and we used the 1 to auto pass, and we hit 8 at the beginning to toggle the auto passing when you don't have anything to do. The other big one I want to mention is 6, and you can, when you're in the battlefield, there's that keyboard bar that will show you all of them.
Yeah, it was pretty easy to use, really.
Yeah, so. but 6 is an important one because 6 says, pass this turn, The only thing I want to do for the rest of this turn, whether it's my turn or my opponent's turn, is attack or block. When you
Yep.
hit 6, it stops using your clock. That's the main thing. So the key is that when it's like a chess clock. When that window is there with a button for you, your clock is being sucked away. So when you know for sure that you're done with the turn, you have nothing you want to do, you can hit that 6, and it'll let your opponent do their thing, but it won't cost you any of your time, which is your clock time, which is going to be critical as a new player. New players just take some clock losses. Something I'm actually trying to figure out how to maybe have a new player clock experience, or something to help with that, because it can be pretty frustrating when you're trying to learn a game and the clock is telling you, no, sorry, you didn't learn it fast enough.
All right, I'm going to quick change scenes here just so that we're not staring at the same screen. And I think we're getting pretty close to wrapping this up, but can you tell me a little bit, anything you want to mention about what's happening here in the short-term future here for Magic the Gathering Online? Clearly we got a lot of Lord of the Rings stuff happening. What else should people know?
Well, we are working on improving this very experience, the first time playing the game. It's a little bit, it needs more direction. I get that. I would love it for it to just tell you right away, here's your, I want you to go into this jump start. But, the amazing thing about Magic Online is that with the trading of the individual card objects, it's very inexpensive on a relative level, relative to what Magic players in the universe pay to play their game. It's a real value. One of the things I love about the game is that we have these all-time classics that if you were to try and acquire paper copies of, would really set you back. It's just like people don't even play these formats in paper anymore because of that factor. But we have these digital copies that are very reasonably available.
I'm looking at the starter kit actually right now, and that's only $13, and that has both a Gondor and a Mordor deck. That is pretty hot. So
yeah, you get it right. I mean,
that's 120 cards right there. 260 card decks.
Get going right there. But the thing is, you can have fun for free. My favorite Magic joke is, how much does Magic the Gathering cost? How much have you got?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's good because of what it says about the high end of Magic, but what's lost, I think, in that joke is what it says about the low end. You can tell me zero. I have $0, and I'll give you a whole suite of things you can do for absolute free to enjoy Magic the Gathering, and this is one of them. There's enough, with these. You can just come in and play jump starts and get used to the game that way, and. Nominally, once you buy that $5 upgrade and you can get the account trading going, there are people who will literally give you cards in the trading room because they want to help new players. And the most common cards on Magic Online are not valuable. They're not in high demand just because the supply is so high, but they're still wonderful game pieces that do functional things and can build decks. And so I love that Magic offers ways to play even for the cash strapped, and Magic Online does as well. And honestly, getting a friend group together, finding like-minded people that you want to play with, so that you can be challenging each other, that's how you get a lot of play value in the system for no cost, is battling for fun. And you can battle strangers for fun too. But there's if you're more competitive and you want to get into it, we have a whole suite. There's escalating levels of seriousness to our events and competitiveness, and you can play for fun with no stakes. You can play for some low stakes, or you can get into the competitive system and try to win some huge prizes at high stakes.
All right, so let me put that to the coupon out there one more time. LOTROMTGO2023, LOTROMTGO2023. You can use it just in the store of Magic the Gathering Online. You can download Magic the Gathering Online for free at mtgo.com. And I really want to thank you here for joining me today.
Thank you
So.
for having me. It was great to come in and talk about this amazing set. I'm so happy that that Magic got to do this. I read Lord of the Rings to my kids when they were growing up. It's one of the most important stories to my life, and I'm so thrilled that it's now entwined with my favorite game. So I hope you check it out, and also just know our community is incredible in terms of creating content to help you as well. So simple Google searches for help with Magic Online will produce almost bottomless resources of people giving you tips on every aspect of the system. So check that out, and I hope we see some of you on Magic Online. And
Can I ask if then, before I let you go, where can people see more of you?
I am most active now on the MTGO Discord, so if you want to come and join the MTGO Discord, I can probably get that for you if you want to slap it on the kind of broadcast notes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the best way to reach me at this point, because I've kind of I've slid away from Twitter for some reason. But hey, if you find me online, I'm Daybreak_Ryan on Magic Online, so you can even ping me, add me. You don't have to you can add someone as a buddy without their permission, but you can't, it just shows you their status, so you can add me and see if I'm online, maybe ping me and say hi.
Great. All right, well, thank you so much for being here today. I really appreciate you joining me. And everyone in chat, hang on. I'll be back in just a minute here. I'm going to be back in Lord of the Rings Online. I'm going to show you the LOTRO side of this coupon here in just a minute. So thanks, Ryan, for being here today.
Much. Yeah, and by the way, this is a cross promotion. I have your game downloaded, and I'm looking forward to diving into that as well. So thanks a lot, Jerry.
And if you'll give me just a minute here, I will swap a few scenes and I'll be right back. All right. Oh, am I back? Not. I will be back in a second. Here we go. There we go. That's what I want. And then this goes off, and there we go. All right, so let me move my camera up just a little bit, make me a little bigger in chat. Welcome, everyone. We're back in the Lord of the Rings Online, and I'm on my official Cordovan account because I already redeemed the coupon on my free account. This is through July 4th that you can redeem this coupon. So you're going to want to go into the LOTRO store and type in MTGO. I need to let it load here. It's a little weird when I'm on my admin, but that's how it works. All right. Redeem code. LOTROMTGO2023. Click apply. And you get all this stuff. A universal toolkit. You get the writing skill, if you don't already have it. That's a pretty nice one. The Samwise portrait frame, and a Samwise Gamgee loyal housing attendant. And that's kind of the main hotness. But before I do that, let me just real click quick. There we go. Right click and pick Where do I see that now? I'm actually not seeing it right now. I think I need to log out and log back in quick in order to see it. Alright, let me do that quick. I will reboot. I'm going to show off this thing, so. While I'm here, let me call up my Twitch chat. I had a little bit of a hard time seeing Twitch chat while I was trying to do the other bit. But there we are. Oh, it's in my inventory? Oh, of course it is. You're right. By Jove, you are correct. Let me drop that. And bring over this. Alright, well, I do that. Forgot I had to activate it. But by the way, I'm going to go just a few minutes longer on this show than usual because Tolkien Professor is at a pretty big Mythmoot thing that they got going on. So is Druid's Fire, so neither Druid's Fire nor Tolkien Professor are going to be on this afternoon. So I'm going to go just a little bit longer here today to show this off. It doesn't auto-consume, so you can send it to an. I know these things. I don't know. I get nervous on the air sometimes. I will say my Facebook Messenger has never exploded as much as it exploded when I put my original OG Magic the Gathering set up for Facebook Marketplace. I needed some cash, and I went and put some of those OG Magic cards on there. I had about 200, 300 of them, and holy moly, was the interest high, shall we say. Oh my god, give it to me! There we go. Where did I put it now? Yeah, here we go. Samwise frame. Now, I right-click on it, go to Custom Character Portraits, and give myself a potato portrait. How hot is that? I'm trying to figure out where I put that property guard. I already have the writing. Where's my property guard? Is that? Do I have a housing bag that I put it in? Oh, there we go. Okay. Samwise Gamgee, Loyal Attendant. Now, this, I will say, there is one thing on the portrait frame, which is that it delivers one portrait frame to your account. And once you've assigned it to that character, that's the character that gets it. We know a whole bunch more of you want this thing. So I would absolutely expect to see further opportunities in the future to get this portrait frame. If I have anything to say about it, it's going to happen. Perhaps same with this Samwise Gamgee Loyal Attendant. Although the attendant, the property guard here, is bound to account. So you can swap it between accounts and things if you want to. So let me toggle a decoration mode, and I actually had some of the last ones here, so let me take that one out, and we'll put in the Samwise Gamgee property guard here. Toggle off maintenance, and then chat with a certain person. So you use the item, as it were, and then I think it's there. He's got a ring. Oh, this ring. Yeah, here we go. What I learned in all my travels is you never know when you might find your next meal. Let me see if there's anything extra in my pack that you might use to make a meal in a time of need. It may not look like much. Trust me, Cordovan, in a time of need, you'll be happy you have this. This is a repeatable quest, and you'll get a gift from Mr. Samwise. Taters, carrots, mushrooms, onions. There you go. And there, it does go on cooldown. 14-hour cooldown. Well, 13-hour and 57-minute. That's weird, but okay. A gift from Samwise. So we're going to open that up, and what do we get? We get mushrooms and other things. It's kind of minor, right? It's just a little bit of fun. But it's a little bit of fun, isn't it? And then he will follow you around doing the property guard thing. Oh, it runs on the 3 a.m. timer? Okay, that's right. 3 a.m. Eastern. Resets with other dailies. Thank you, chat. I also am well aware, by the way, Menadlair, that folks want Samwise perhaps to be inside as well. I've passed along that request to the team, and perhaps it's something we can do to make it so that Samwise is not just a property guard. But I think that might be a little tricky to pull off, just due to some tech things. But we'll sort it out at some point here in the future, hopefully. Because I think we would need to somehow either make all property guards available to use at an internal hooks, or we'd have to come up with some kind of thing that isn't a property guard that's the same, that would somehow be exclusive so that you wouldn't have two Samwises, because that might be a little weird. So, there we go. You know, actually, some people are talking about my twin. I do have a twin brother. And, in real life. And he does actually, in fact, play guitar. He used to be in an old hardcore band, and the late 80s through the 90s, really, called Standpoint, if you ever look him up. Played at, like, First Avenue and stuff. So, did a bunch of shows. And, okay. Thanks, Urian. Ryan. Alright. Well, I mean, I think we've kind of covered it. I guess this actually went not quite as long as I intended, or I thought it might go, but here we are. So, we got our property guard. The coupon code again, LOTROMTGO, LOTROMTGO2023. Enter it in LOTRO to get this stuff. Enter it in Magic the Gathering Online to get that stuff. And we hope you enjoy it. It's something fairly different that we're doing here, and we've not done a lot of cross promo, but it made sense here, and it was really cool to see it happen. So I know that we don't normally show other games on LOTROstream, but it felt appropriate to do it this one time at least. Maybe we'll see in the future if there's another thing that happens. But I hope you appreciate me stopping by the show and doing that this week. We'll be back to all Lord of the Rings Online content next week. I'll be running through some of the Update 60 story, and we're really close to doing some previews on other bits and bobs here in the near future. So thank you so much for watching, everyone. Court of the Rings is available on YouTube and Facebook afterwards, and you can always find the archive also here on twitch.tv/LOTROstream. Thanks so much for joining me here today, and I'll see you all next week. Have fun.